touch my body.
Nepotism is a word that nowadays seems almost integral with Hollywood and the entertainment industry. Lately, it seems like you cannot look at the cast of a movie without finding someone who is related to someone either famous or rich or influential or, well, all of these things usually. If you're famous, and then you're probably rich, and if you're rich, then you're influential, especially when it comes to creative and entertainment industry. And I would argue that it's the same thing with the music scene. Everyone seems somewhat connected these days, I would say. And let's not kid ourselves. Being related to someone famous or having a well-known and wealthy parent, an aunt, an uncle, I don't know, grandmother, grandfather, is extremely helpful in today's society. I think not only today's, because I think that it always have been. I mean, if we look at the model of royals, even in the UK right now, technically they don't have any real governing power, but still they are, extremely rich, extremely influential. But, that's a whole nother topic with the whole Prince Andrew thing and how just plainly evil and inappropriate his behavior has been. So I will not dwell on this today because that is not the topic of this video. But I have to say that nepotism is very helpful and on all kind of aspects of life. But today I will be speaking mostly about job kind of part of life, because everyone has to work some kind of job, because capitalism or that bills, you need money to buy stuff, and nothing in this world, yeah, sorry, my pronunciation, Jesus Christ, it's 3 a.m. I have severe insomnia, I cannot sleep, so you will have to bear with me and my horrific pronunciation. Hope it's not that awful and you are all able to bear with me while I get back to the topic of this video, which is nepotism. Can you even do nepotism right? And going back to the thought of that I had before I went on a whole tangent about me not being able to pronounce words properly, is that nepotism even is helpful in any sort of job environment. But for the sake of this video, I will be focusing on, the pop culture side of things. So entertainment industry, movies, movie industry, music industry, maybe even, modeling. But I'm not that well versed in the modeling world. I only know the most famous people because fashion is not really my forte, but I do enjoy watching fashion shows, whatever. Anyway, I mean, if you are a nepo baby, you get born into extreme wealth and privilege from the jump. You get all of the best possible resources that you can get when it comes to entertainment industry. And that's not something groundbreaking. We've all have known this. It's really a fact that if your parents are famous, then they likely have an agent. They likely have connections if they are actors and you as their child want to pursue acting as well, then they have connections in the industry. They may be friends with other actors and or producers, directors. Some actors are both actors and directors and executive producers or something like that. So there's that. Also, lawyers who can help you draft the contracts. Or, okay, I'm not sure how the contracts are made, but I'm pretty sure if you have a good lawyer, then they won't let you kind of get yourself into a situation that would be financially abusive or very inconvenient for you. Like, you know what I mean. You won't sign a contract that is basically forbidding you in acting in anything else or speaking about something. Right now I might be pulling, stuff from my ass because I don't know if that's ever happened. It probably have, but I have not done my research on that. And I am not a part of entertainment industry for now. Hopefully, maybe someday, we shall see. And yeah, so you basically get all of those advantages as from the jump. And even if you decide, your parents, your father, your uncle, it seems as if I'm pronouncing the name of a body part, but you know what I mean. Let's say the brother of your father is someone famous. And even if they are an actor, fairly popular one, or at least one that is able to make a good living from just acting, and you decide, you know what, I don't want to be an actor, I would like to be a singer. Still, the entertainment industry, the world that all of these people function in is not that big. I feel like the most influential of the influential, they've heard about each other and they have some sort of connection. If not a direct one, then their agent knows someone from the other person's team and they are able to somehow connect them. And I don't know, famous actor can get in touch with a music producer or I don't know, a lyricist, and this way you're able to create a song that is very likely to, do well because, you have money, you're able to invest in all of this stuff. Also, another thing, in both cases, I'm focusing on being either an actor or a singer, because later on I will be talking about people who do just that, so I'm not going to touch on being a dancer, especially since being a dancer in the entertainment industry, I feel it is the most difficult job out of the three and the least diverse when it comes to doing other stuff than just performing on stage or being a background dancer. Like, even, actors are hired to be a part of commercial. And I'm sure all of you have seen the memes or funny videos or on TikTok or Instagram Reels where people kind of jokingly mock the campaigns of actors doing, I don't know, ballet poses while clearly never having done ballet a day in their life. So, and there's like, why won't you hire an actual dancer? Well, there's a couple of reasons. I don't disagree. I think dancers should be hired for, like, I don't know. If you want to include ballet or any sort of dancing, at least if you want to still use an actor, at least get an actor that can dance. That would be very beneficial for the whole campaign. But again, I'm getting sidetracked. Another thing is that, besides the agent, the manager, the whole team that comes with your parents or your parent, depending on if both of them or only one is famous, there's also a thing that you have a lot of money, you have connections. Ergo, you can hire the best possible teachers, both acting and singing teachers. You know, if you want to be a singer who also plays live, on whether you want to play guitar, piano, or both. I think usually it's both. Or maybe not usually, but most often it's both. Or you can hire a teacher that will teach you how to produce music. And because you have money, you have access to the top tier teachers, which is something that, you know, kind of baffles me in a way. Okay, what I mean is that you have all this money and all of these resources, and there are still people who are Nepo babies and they refuse to utilize those resources, which is strange. I mean, why wouldn't you want to perfect your craft if your life is kind of established for you in a sense? Like, you already got your foot in the door, or even more so, even you are already in the room. So you know, for an average person who wants to make it big in the industry, just getting a foot in their door is kind of a success, first step. And then if you are let into the room, you have to fight tooth and nail to remain there and not to get kicked out for whatever reason that, you know, they don't want to hire someone who is unknown. Even though there has been some real success stories, even the most recent one that I can think of is Heated Rivalry. Both Connor and Hudson, they were practically unknown. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Connor had some previous acting experience. I mean, no, Hudson also had previous acting experience. What I meant is that he worked on some movies. I think he was in Joker 2, but, you know, his role was pretty insignificant. Like, not insignificant, it was just smaller roles. And here they get to take, you know, they are the primary characters, you know, the main characters of the show, and they basically blew up overnight because, you know, no one knew them. At least most of the general public didn't know them, and they are great actors. They both can clearly act, and it's especially visible when you watch the interviews of both of them. I feel like they totally switch kind of personalities. That IRL Hudson is more like Ilya, and Connor is more like Shane, which is, or maybe it's just PR training. I mean, those are two different strategies, kind of, you know. The pretending of not being media trained is also media training. So it's kind of funny, but I like that. So yeah, I will stop my rant about Heated Rivalry by now, but you know what I mean. Sometimes it's really good to give a chance to somewhat less popular actors, or actors who have very little experience of working on big budget productions. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, Heated Rivalry didn't have that much of a budget, but still, you know, it was a proper TV show or series. I don't think it was aired on TV because it was put on streaming immediately. Anyway, so yeah, I think that it can be quite beneficial to hire people who are less known, but that's also off topic. I will now try to circle back to the main topic of this video, but I think this kind of illustrates my point that those are two people who clearly put in the work and had to, I'm not saying necessarily struggle, but had to try harder to get their foot in the door, and, you know, were very unsure of the outcome, because I'm convinced that none of the people who worked on Heated Rivalry initially were anticipating this much of a success, because if you Google photos from the Heated Rivalry premiere, it is quite small and quite, I'm not saying casual, but as in it wasn't this grandiose, like, I don't know, any sort of movie premiere or even, I don't know, the Marvel movie premiere, and some of the, TV shows get this kind of treatment. So they are the people that kind of prove that you don't have to be a Nepo baby to make it big, but I think it has also a lot to do with luck. They were lucky. Not that they didn't work hard, but they found themselves in a good place at the right time, and thanks to their skills, they proved to the general public that they are two people worth watching out for, because they are gonna make it big in Hollywood. So, as I just said, there are a few people. Well, I think in the earlier days of entertainment industry, there were a lot more. I'm not sure how popular open castings are for like the big movie productions or shows that have, big budgets. But, where you're a Nepo baby, you have enough money to get in the room, fund all of your, classes that will help you perfect your art. And, your parents come with a phone book filled with industry famous and influential figures. I mean, take your pick. And there's a high chance that you will be able to get whatever you need to at least start your career. Because, it's easier this way. There is not a guarantee that your career will take off after, but at least you are able to start from a very, or at least a higher level than someone who starts off, I don't know, as an independent artist or is freshly signed to a record label and that hasn't proved yet, or has, no, what I mean is that if you are newly signed to a record label and you are not going viral on TikTok, they might not want to promote you, and thus, not a lot of people may find you organically. I remember I saw an interview with Halsey, who was talking about how her record label, I think, if I'm not mistaken, will not let her release another album because the previous one didn't do as well as they might have expected, even though it was experimental. And considering that that album was kind of, I think she might have taken a break between her albums or something like that. Sorry, I don't remember. Anyway, that it was very experimental, and looking at this album as an experimental album, I think it did quite well. And, she was very frustrated, and I don't blame her, that they were expecting, I don't know, Taylor Swift numbers from her, which was, I don't know, I'm not saying that she's not talented, because I really enjoy her music, and she is like, I've seen her performances where she paints and sings live, which is really cool concept. But let's be real, if it was a concept album, it was very unlikely to make that much of a splash as an average Taylor Swift album does nowadays. So it's quite unfair to expect those kind of results from her. So it's just a little unfair, but I mean, the entertainment industry as a whole is not very fair if you think about it. Or don't think about it, just look about it, but that's also a separate issue. So clearly we've established that nepotism can genuinely help you and set you up for life. Or at least set you up for a good start, because even if your career doesn't reach the heights of your parents' career, it is very likely that, you have a trust fund, I think that's what they call it in America, still you have your parents' money, and it will probably still guarantee you a pretty good life. And when I sat and thought about nepotism, my question was like, whether or not you can nepo right. You see what I did there? It will be the title of this week's episode. I'm saying this week's because, life happened and I kind of fell off with my posting schedule, but hopefully I will be back. I mean, not hopefully, I will be back. I just need to, kind of get rid of the mess, but that's a me problem and you guys don't need to hear about it. Anyway, I'm really glad to be back. It's, the 20th minute of the video of me saying that, but I think it will be a good time to kind of say hi, I'm Mara, and if you guys are watching this, I am convinced that you are as much of a pop culture freak as I am, and you love discussing things like that. So if that seems like your thing, consider subscribing, liking, leaving your thoughts in the comments, checking out my other videos. And yeah, I will be very grateful for that. Anyway, enough of the self-promo, going back to the nepotism thing. Do I think you can nepo right? I think it's a hard question. What I would definitely say that there's nothing worse than a celebrity denying that them being related to someone famous has in any shape or form positively affected their career or helped them in any sort of way. And it's even worse if they claim that, oh no, it's even worse because I had to stop using my last name because they wouldn't look at me twice. I remember Kendall Jenner, and she wasn't the only one, but she's like the example that comes to my mind. She said that she had to get rid of her last name whenever she was going to castings because otherwise she wouldn't be taken seriously. And I'm like, girl, I don't think it works like that. First of all, your family has a reality TV show, so the ethics of showing your children and the parenting as a whole is a whole nother issue. I don't like it. I don't think that should be happening. Family vloggers are a no-go, in my opinion. But, your face has been plastered all over people's TV since you were, 10? I'm not sure how old she was in the first season of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Anyway, your mother is someone, she even coined the phrase a momager. She basically managed to make a whole family famous for essentially doing nothing, just kind of looking good and being dramatic, which is, it's impressive in and of itself, and I would say that she's an amazing businesswoman, questionable ethics and morals, but yeah, I will give her that. And when I heard Kendall say that, I was like, really? I think we are living in two different realities. Even getting you in the room, it was like, yeah, most models won't be able to have that as early as you did, because I'm pretty sure that she walked in some very famous fashion shows in the beginning of her career. So yeah, it's not like your last name hurt you in any way. People already knew who you were, and with a mother as business oriented and as influential as Kris Jenner is now, and maybe she was less so in the beginning of Kendall's career, but I think, as I said, she's very smart, or at least business smart and business oriented, that she was able to position her 6. It's Kim, Kourtney, Kendall, Kylie, Khloe, 5 daughters, if I'm counting correctly. I don't think I missed anyone, and there's Rob Kardashian, but he's not as present in the media as his sisters are. And going back to Chris, she was able to launch their careers essentially from nothing. They are the blueprint of how you go from reality TV stars to celebrities, influential celebrities who are essentially known for nothing. Maybe they're not the first, but I think one of the first ones, and definitely the most successful ones, being invited to Met Gala and stuff. That is pretty much, I think, a success indicator. So, I won't be going over every Nepo baby that there is because we would be sitting here for a really, 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 really long time. I wanted to focus on those who I am, well, maybe not most familiar with, but I have kind of mixed feelings toward. So, to start with, I thought that we could talk about Gracie Abrams. For the longest time, I thought her name was Gracie Adams, just like the Adams family. And I was like, then I looked it up and I was like, I was so wrong, but I blame that on my supposed dyslexia. At least that's what my supervisor once asked me, and I was like, I don't know. Maybe I should probably get that checked. Anyway, Gracie Abrams was born on September 7th, 1999, and she is an American singer and songwriter. She has signed with Interscope Records in 2019 and gained recognition after releasing her debut extended play Minor in 2020. And later on, she released her, I think it was EP as well. This is what it feels like in 2021. And I know, one of her most famous singles is I Miss You, I'm Sorry, or Risk, or Cool, or Us with Taylor Swift. I think it was pretty popular. She was also an opener for Taylor at some point during the Eras Tour. I mean, the Eras Tour had so many openers because it was so long. Not that I'm gonna criticize it, because I think as much as I'm at odds with Taylor Swift now, I went to the Eras Tour and I had a good time, because at that point in time I still liked Taylor's music. I mean, I like it now, but I kind of cannot listen to it because of what she as a person is associated with and what she represents and how she refuses to speak on important topics, even though she made a documentary proclaiming that it's important for her to stand up for those in need and speak for those underprivileged. And maybe it was just a Joe Alwyn influence. But if you're curious about my thoughts on Taylor's newest album, my first video on this channel is me talking about it, and maybe you will find it interesting. I think it's time for a redo and revisiting of this topic, but we shall see. Back to Gracie. She released her debut album, Jesus, I'm so sorry, Good Riddance in 2023, and was nominated for the Grammy Award for Best New Artist. Oh, she was also an opening act for Olivia Rodrigo's Sour Tour in 2022, and like I just said, Taylor's Eras Tour in 2023 and 2024. So, if you're wondering who Gracie is related to, she is the daughter of a filmmaker, J.J. Abrams, and a television producer, Katie McGrath. I'm sorry, I am not well versed in the TV producers and directors, so I am unfamiliar with Katie McGrath's work. Also, I didn't watch Star Wars, so I'm not that familiar with J.J. Abrams either. But I've been told by my friends who are major Star Wars nerds. No, I'm not using nerds in a derogatory way. I'm also a bit of a nerd. But I was told that he did some stuff for Star Wars universe. Not sure if it was good. I'm getting to the point of watching Star Wars at some point, but I don't think I'm at that point. And in addition, she was a granddaughter of producer Gerald W. Abrams and Carol Ann Abrams. Yeah, so as you can see, she was kind of set up for success from a very young age. You know, your parents are quite successful in the entertainment industry. And, you know, even going further back, your grandparents are also quite influential. When I looked at J.J. Abrams, I wanted to check what did he produce or make, whatever he did with those films. It's like he did Star Trek in 2009 and the Star Wars sequels The Force Awakens, and The Rise of Skywalker in 2015 and 2019. And as I'm looking at his Wikipedia page, I know that Wikipedia is not the best source of information, but this is information on famous people and what they are up to, so I think we can let it slide. That Abrams' films have grossed more than $4 billion, making him the 10th highest grossing film director of all time. And apparently it's not adjusted for inflation, but I'm pretty sure that he's doing quite well for himself. So looking back at that, you know, she was set up for success. You know, you have a father who is a very well-known, a very wealthy filmmaker. Like I said probably too many times in this video already, but my point is, it's not that I dislike Gracie. My problem with her is that, and I even like some of her music, like Risk or Cool or That's So True or Us with Taylor or I Love You, I'm Sorry. I think those are nice songs and I listen to them from time to time. My problem is, and I might get hate for it because I am not listening to Gracie like religiously, and I have listened to her albums in the past, but they weren't memorable enough for me to remember most things about them. Just a couple of those songs were probably one of her most popular ones have stuck in my mind. Anyway, I have a feeling that some of her songs, or most of her songs, sound quite similar. I would use the argument that I don't like using, and that people mostly throw at Taylor, that all of her music sounds the same. And I'm not... it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I said, the songs that I do like are quite similar. You know, if you look at Cool and Risk and That's So True and Us, or maybe less so Us, but like, or even Mess It Up, they are sort of similar, I think, at least for me. So that's kind of my problem number one. I know if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but at the same time, you have enough resources to explore more and try to diversify your music just a bit, because I think it might need it. And the thing that but like I said, it is, I think, a secondary problem, because there are a lot of artists who kind of make the same type of music, and let's be honest, the music is far worse than Gracie's. So that is just me being probably nitpicky, but also trying to illustrate my point. The worst thing, in my opinion, is that her live performances are not always the best. And what I mean is that her breath control can be lacking. And here I'm coming back to her privilege and her being a Nepo baby. You have all of these resources. You have all of this money. Your father is well established in the film industry, and I don't believe, if you work on film, you need someone to make you a soundtrack, and I don't believe that he is not connected to some influential people in the music industry. So I don't understand, why won't you take the resources that you have and put it towards bettering your voice or your breath control? And I am not saying that she can't sing. I am not saying she didn't have good performances. What I am saying is that she is not as consistent as she should be. And I know there will be voices that say, yeah, if you are love to criticize her so much, go out there and do what she does. And I'm like, I wish, maybe someday, but I need to work on my technique in order to perform in front of people. And I think that we should be able to criticize not only Gracie, but singers in general, if they are not performing to their best possible abilities. And I'm not saying that everyone has to be Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, or Mariah Carey, or Ariana Grande, or Ray, for example, right now. But I think if you want to be a singer, it is your job to sing well live, because people are paying to see you. So I don't understand. You have all this money, yet you refuse. I think maybe she has gotten better over time. Definitely, because, starting to perform in front of people is really scary. But there are still examples from recent years when she's struggling with her breathing technique during live performances, and I don't think that should happen. I'm not saying that it will happen eventually, because she is a human and human beings have good and bad days. But, you have time, you have resources to work on it. So I really hope that she will, because, like I said, I enjoy some of her songs. So that not that I am, the end-all be-all of music taste, but I'm not that hard to please. I'm into pop culture and pop music in general. So even if I notice that there is a pattern going on in your song, then it's bad. Because I like everything when it comes to music. So if I notice a pattern, it means that there is one. And that's all I'm gonna say on Gracie, but I wish her the best, and I just really hope that she improves that particular aspect of her as a live performer. Going to the next person that I wanted to talk about, it is Dakota Johnson. So Dakota Johnson was born on October 4th, 1989. Funny, Gracie was born in 1999 and she was born a decade earlier. Funny. And she is an American actress. Also, some of the, Google told me that she was also a model, which she might be, I'm not sure, but her Wikipedia page is not saying that. But I think actors can be very diverse when it comes to what they do. So she is the daughter of Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith. And as a child, she played a minor role in her then stepfather's Antonio Banderas directed Crazy in Alabama in 1999. After graduating from high school, she began auditioning for roles and had a brief part in the biographical drama film The Social Network in 2010. Johnson had her breakthrough playing the lead role in the erotic 50 Shades of Grey saga, which lasted from 2015 to 2018. I mean, we all know it. For which she received an MTV Movie Award for Best Breakthrough Performance nomination. And Johnson's profile grew with roles in the crime drama Black Mass, the drama A Bigger Splash, the romantic comedy How to Be Single, the horror film Suspiria, and the thriller Bad Times at the El Royale, the coming-of-age movie The Peanut Butter Falcon, the philosophical drama The Lost Daughter, the romantic drama Cha-Cha Real Smooth, and the romantic film Materialist. I think it's her most recent project, because it was released in 2025 and it was quite popular. Oh, and Wikipedia also says that off-screen she has been labeled as a sex symbol. I mean, yeah, she's very pretty, so I think so. Anyway, my problem with Dakota Johnson. Clearly an NEPO baby. Her father is Don Johnson, who is, an American actor and singer-songwriter. Obviously has done very well for himself. And Melanie Griffith is an American actress, so also already in the industry, which comes with the connections. So I'm not saying that she didn't work hard, but she clearly had a step up, in a stepping stone, if you will, in entering the acting industry. If she was able to be in a movie made by Antonio Banderas, very popular and I think well-liked Spanish actor at just the age of 10. Sorry, my math is not my strong suit. Anyway, I think it speaks volumes to what kind of advantage she had, especially in the beginning of her career. And her big breakthrough happened with a questionable movie saga, let's say that, but she managed to kind of gain a lot of popularity from it, while her co-star, I have to check his name, Jamie Dornan, his popularity kind of shrinked after that. Not gonna lie. I haven't seen much of him ever since, while Dakota Johnson is flourishing. I think she also, she created some of the most popular memes. I mean, the clip of her with Ellen DeGeneres when she confronts her about, apparently, Ellen is confronting Dakota about apparently not being invited to the birthday party, and Dakota responds that, no, you are invited. Or, the lime clip where she said she was obsessed with limes, and then it turned out that she is actually allergic. I don't know if she is, but I guess I will have to trust her word on that. So, my problem with Dakota Johnson is that whenever I see her in a movie, she seems to be playing the same character, one tone, kind of laid back protagonist, and that's essentially it. I mean, she may be good at that, but if you're really playing the same person in every movie, then are you really playing a character, or are you just playing yourself? I remember she was a part of what was it called? An adaptation of one of Jane Austen's books. I don't remember. Oh, Persuasion. Yeah, and the movie in general was criticized for all of the inclusion, all of the modern words, which were completely unnecessary in my opinion, because the beauty of period drama is that it fully immerses its viewer in the time period that it's representing. So the same thing is happening with the Odyssey now, where Robert Pattinson says to Tom Holland, the trailer, that something along the lines of "you long for a daddy that you never had." I'm like, I'm pretty sure that the word daddy was not used in ancient Greece. that it was so unnecessary. But also the Odyssey as a movie is another conversation entirely, which I will not be starting right now. So, and as far as I'm concerned, in The Persuasion, she also played pretty much the same laid-back, nonchalant character that she did in her other movies. In Materialist, she also played a laid-back, chill, nonchalant. Oh God, what was the name of it? Matchmaker? Yeah, a matchmaker. And people were kind of disappointed with the plot of the movie itself, and I have to agree. I mean, her choosing her broke-ass ex-boyfriend over the wealthy Pedro Pascal in general. It's Pedro Pascal. How can you not choose Pedro Pascal? I mean, Chris Evans also very, very, very handsome and good-looking, but it's Pedro Pascal. It's just, it's different. So like I said, my problem with Dakota, very one-note acting that doesn't seem to change from movie to movie. I remember she also did the movie with Sydney Sweeney and someone else, this Black Widow. No, it wasn't a Black Widow. Black Widow is a Scarlett Johansson, this gig. I'm talking about... It was somewhat Spider-Man related. God. What is its name? Oh, Madam Web. Yeah. When I'm looking through her movie history, she really did a lot of them. But I'm just naming the most popular ones. Anyway, she was also... We are going to sideline the fact that Madam Web wasn't a very good movie. We are gonna ignore that, because it's also not the topic of today's video, but she wasn't great in it. I mean, she was her usual self, so I don't know if you classify that as great, but I think there's nothing more boring than an actor who plays the same role over and over again yet gets praised for it. I mean, okay, no, maybe not gets praised for it, because I think there is a typecasting has its benefits, especially if someone is just good in playing the one sole role the type of role that he's usually plays, then I think he should stick with it. If you're good at it, then go for it. But I don't think that trying to put Dakota Johnson and her one-note acting in all of these different roles and trying to claim that she's playing a different character each time, despite the fact that she essentially plays the same person that is herself, or at least the persona that she shows to the public. And then it shouldn't be, if she does that, which I think she does, it shouldn't be claimed that she is a good actress then. Because if you do the same thing over and over again, then you are not a diverse actor, you are kind of one-note actor. Like I said, those also exist, and they should also exist, but then we shouldn't say that she is a very good actress if she tends to play it one-note. And like I just said about Kendall, in general, the Kardashian family, I'm not saying that they are not entertaining. They are, sometimes. Although I'm not that big on non-dating reality shows outside of maybe cooking reality shows. I like those, but my guilty pleasure is definitely dating reality shows, like Love is Blind, Perfect Match, mostly Netflix stuff. But I don't like reality TV as it is. And I don't think that Kardashians themselves have that much going for them. outside of being known for being known. So, and I don't know if you can classify them as Nepo babies, but they were definitely born into wealth. And the Kardashian, God, what was his name? I think he was quite well off. And also Kris wasn't lacking. And then, Caitlyn Jenner, that pre-transition was Bruce Jenner. She was an Olympian, so she was quite established, even if it's in the sport industry. I think she somewhat crossed into the reality TV world later on, because she was featured on Keeping Up with the Kardashians multiple times. So, the Kardashians are known for being known. They are known for creating endless businesses most of those are just shitty, quick cash grabs. I've seen numerous videos of people just going through and dissecting every shady business venture. I mean, now you have, I think Skims is one of the better ones, in case that, in a way that the quality of its products is mostly good, and they secured kind of a good place because I think they started with the undergarments, and they kind of panned out with their catalog, and now they are offering even like skiing stuff, and they collaborated with some sort of ski or like coat brand. I don't remember. So there's that, but some other ventures. I think Kylie's clothing brand Kai is not doing well, and it's been compared to Skims, and in comparison its quality is bad. But on the other hand, Kylie Cosmetics is doing well, so there's that. Apparently not everything is totally shit, because Kim Kardashian's makeup line, I'm pretty sure it was shut down, because I haven't heard about it in a while. But it was mostly okay, I think. Totally overpriced makeup. And Kendall is a model. I guess you can say that her career is most far kind of detached from the reality TV persona as it is, but still I think that her connections clearly helped her become a somewhat established figure in the modeling world. Khloe and Kourtney, I think Kourtney is the least kind of popular one, in a sense that she is not trying to be in the spotlight that much, or at least that's the impression that I'm getting, so I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. Her claim to fame is probably the platform that's ripping off Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop. Quite a weird concept, but if that works for her, good for her, I guess. And Khloe is, I mean, she had the whole transformation, which it's sad to think that the people around her and people on the internet and general public were so mean to her that she felt the need to change everything about herself to fit into the standards, pretty much unattainable standards. But she had the reality TV show, The Glowing, where other people went to glow up, basically. So there was that. But I think it died. I don't think they are making it anymore. I think she has a podcast now. Oh yeah, and the whole thing with her and Tristan Thomas, I think. The whole cheating saga with Jordan Woods, or whatever it was. It was crazy. So basically their claim to fame is being famous and coming from a rich, privileged background. So good for them, but they are not there's no question if they can Nepo ride. They don't Nepo ride. Looking at Kim Kardashian's children, I mean North specifically, She's a child, yet she doesn't look like one, and I'm not one to police looks, but I don't think that minors should be allowed permanent body modifications. And maybe I'm a prude, but I think that they also should wear appropriate clothing. Not, corsets. Sorry, in my native language, corset's a gorset. So there's that. So, no, but I just wanted to kind of speak about them a little bit. Because they are kind of fascinating if you think about it. In a weirdly addictive and toxic way. But that's all I'm gonna say on them as people for now. Maybe I will make another video about them. We shall see. And like I said, there are many, many more examples, but we are already at the 55th minute mark. And not that I'm harping on women and only criticizing women. There are also men who are Nepo babies, who are not doing much with what they have. I mean, Brooklyn Beckham is like... Well, I think he tried some stuff, but it pretty much failed. I think he released a photo book. I'm not sure, because I'm not that interested in him. Sorry, but he's pretty boring. I mean, there has been a whole thing with... I don't know... with the drama with him and his parents and the wedding and Victoria Beckham essentially stealing the spotlight there and acting weirdly. I don't know. I'm not that much into their family. I'm not that interested. Because, I mean, Spice Girls were amazing and she was great, but football wasn't really my thing ever. So there's that. I mean, Jack Quaid... I haven't seen him in much. I've seen him in Hunger Games, and I know he was in The Boys now, and I think he was pretty decent, pretty good in that series. I haven't watched it. So, but from the trailers and clips that I saw, I think he was pretty great. And as far as I'm concerned, he did not try denying his privilege that came, and, that he acknowledged that being a Nepo baby helped him at least get in the room while other actors may and are struggling. Same thing with Maya Hawke. She acknowledged that. And, she acknowledged that, said that she's aware of her privilege. She's aware how being a Nepo baby helped her. And essentially, I think that's the correct behavior. That's the behavior that people anticipate from Nepo babies. And I understand the world is not black and white. There are definitely shades of gray in between. And this is a very complicated topic in a sense that I'm able to admit that if I was in their place and I was provided all of these advantages, money and financial security and somewhat of a financial freedom and an agent, a manager, and access to all of the desired classes, schools, maybe not all schools, but you have money. Mostly money can get you most things in this life. I would probably do the same thing that they are doing. I would use those resources because why not? They are also people, they get to have their dreams, their aspirations, and as someone who would also like to one day be a part of the entertainment industry, I don't blame them for using the wealth of their parents and deciding to go to the entertainment industry. I think sometimes it may even be hard, depending on the celebrity, of course, whether or not they chose to show their children and their children's face. You know, whether on red carpets or on Instagram or TikTok, whatever other social media, then I think it might be hard for them to try and make it as, you know, outside of entertainment industry. If from a young age you are surrounded by people like that, you essentially kind of, that's your reality. So I'm pretty sure that you will be like, yeah, you know, my parents are doing that, so I want to do that as well. And I know there are many people dreaming of being a singer, an actor, painter, or a photographer, or a filmmaker in general, and they want to share their art with others, but you know, they have to worry about money, about making a living. And sometimes your artistry is unfortunately not enough. And like I said, we all should be able to be honest. Let's just admit that we would do exactly what Nepo babies are doing. They had a dream, an inkling, a brief interest, a passion, I mean, you name it, and they decided to follow it because they simply can. My problem with this approach is that sometimes they refuse to master their craft, even though they have all of the resources they in the world to do so. What I mean is that, or maybe it's too much of a black and white approach and I should be more open-minded, but I think if you are able to do what you love to do, what you enjoy to do, I don't see a reason that you wouldn't want to improve your craft. I don't know, if you love drawing, you know, everyone started somewhere, everyone started at drawing a random circle and then random lines, not so random, but and trying to make it look like a human face or a cartoon character. And then over time, as you work on it, you get better and better and better. And I think you constantly crave to get better. So I simply don't understand people who have resources to confidently and securely explore their interests and try them out to see whether or not they like it. And then they can master them if they found out, okay, I really like acting. You know, I've been going to movie sets since I was a little girl, a little boy, and I've seen how people work there. I've seen, you know, my dad, my mom working there, and I want to be just like them when I grow up. Cool. But maybe do something about it, take some acting classes. And I don't doubt that most people do, but, you know, like Dakota Johnson, I think she's fully relying on her last name and the fact that she makes great internet memes. I don't know. And on top of that, and that's just my assumption, those people don't have that many other things to do, meaning if you're a singer and you should take your voice classes to perfect your abilities, that is your job that you can do thanks to all of your advantages, yet you still use said advantages, or rather you don't use them, or not in a way that we as your fans can see. If they did, they would successfully shut down the criticism about how their fame relative is responsible for their success, which is another thing. I get the Nepo babies' frustration when they hear that, oh, you know, your mom, your dad is famous, that's the only reason that you made it in the industry. I get that can be frustrating because claims like those completely erase your work, probably hard work that you put into acting, singing, writing, dancing, whatever. But it's half true. I mean, your last name, your advantages got you in the room. And then you put in work in order to remain in that room. So I get the frustration. But I think what people expect from Nepo babies is what Maya Hawke did, for example. She acknowledged and she moved on. And so far, I don't see people complaining about her being a Nepo baby, which I think is a great success, seeing as nepotism allegations are flying left and right as soon as someone randomly pops up, a new singer, a new actor. Like, people instantly go searching on, like, okay, who from their family is well connected to some sort of music producer or to casting director or to a filmmaker. So I think if they just admitted that, yes, I come from a very privileged background, my parents' influence and connections in the industry helped me get in the room, and then I had to put in the work to stay in the room, I think that people would give them a bit more grace about being related to someone who is famous. Which, I mean, it's not their fault. Like I said a couple minutes ago, it's like, if we were in their place, we would probably do the same. We would also, use all of these resources and use the nepotism to get a head start in the entertainment industry, and not only. So yeah, I just think that if they acknowledge it in a, let's say, respectful way, and won't immediately get mad at being called a Nepo baby, then I think public will give them more grace. And yeah, that's all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's definitely my longest one. And if you managed to watch it all the way through, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I would love if you decided to subscribe, or at least consider it, leaving a like, a comment, and yeah, if you want to explore my other videos, like I said, if you're into pop culture and stuff, you should like it. And yeah, see you in the next one. Bye!
Touch my body tender, 'cause the feeling makes me weak. Kinking of the covers, I see the ceilings while you're looking down at me. How can we go